So, while I'm working on Junior Nitro videos for my main channel, I've also been pouring a good chunk of time into the recently launched Nintendo Switch 2. More specifically, I've been playing a lot of Mario Strikers now that it's on GameCube NSO. Kinda crazy how Strikers was the first Mario GameCube game to appear on the service, and not Sunshine or Double Dash. Also, why is pressing the A button a goddamn lottery? Disclaimer, I did not pay full price for the Switch 2. I set up a monthly payment. It's my second car. Anyway, along with the console came Mario Kart World, the latest entry in the series and the first since 2014. The deluxe version of Mario Kart 8 doesn't count. I have already gone through and unlocked pretty much everything you can unlock. Mirror Mode, Special Cup, all the characters and costumes, and every Grand Prix and Knockout Tour has been 3-starred. Except for Mirror because I don't fucking care right now. Unlocking the NPCs was not fun. Literally the stupidest way to unlock anything in any game ever. I'm enjoying my time so far. Getting the 3 stars wasn't super enjoyable, but I didn't mind the challenge. Free roam was okay. I haven't even gotten close to collecting everything. I just got what I needed to unlock Mirror Mode, as well as the costumes, and called it a day. You don't even get anything else. You just get stickers.
They're worthless!
I gotta say, I actually don't mind the connecting routes between tracks. I think they're a nice change of pace from the same tiring Mario Kart we've been used to for a long time. Granted, some of them can begin to outstay their welcome, especially if you have to replay a Grand Prix or Knockout Tour because the AI gets better items than you, but they're fine. That being said, there are a lot of people that don't particularly like these routes in the context of going online and racing with other people. These routes get prioritized in the Grand Prix, which got me thinking, what would the Grand Prix Cups look like if Nintendo decided to stick with past traditions for Mario Kart World? So I took the 16 new courses and 14 retro courses and created my own cups. Each course will have the traditional 3 laps, with 2 exceptions. Because there's only 14 retro courses, I had to compromise a little, but I think you guys will like what I came up with nonetheless. So let's go! We begin as always with the Mushroom Cup. Given that this first track plays kind of like an evolved Mario Kart Stadium, I think it's fitting that Peach Stadium is the first course, which is a massive contrast to its appearance in the actual Grand Prix mode. To be fair, it's the only course that can take you to Rainbow Road, so it has to be at the end. But here, we're not bound by the connecting routes. By the way, stop calling them intermissions. So it's first up. I think it's a good introduction to the game's new mechanics, along with another course we'll get to shortly. Nothing else to say here other than solid first course. Next in the Mushroom Cup, we go to Whistle Stop Summit. Not too difficult of a course. I feel like it works as the second course. By the way, it's not Whistle Top Summit. I've seen and heard so many people call it that. How does nobody see the S? Can that many people not read? The third course is Cheep Cheep Falls. It's a pretty cool track, and falls and beaches have kind of developed a theme of appearing third in the Mushroom Cup, so I figured it'd be a perfect fit for this spot. Rounding out the Mushroom Cup is Faraway Oasis. It's a shame that you only get 1 lap of this course in the Grand Prix mode because it's a really fun time shredding through the safari. And with that, the traditional Mushroom Cup is complete. Let's move on to the Flower Cup. I think it's only fitting that we start this cup with Mario Bros. Circuit. This is another course that does a good job introducing the player to the game's new mechanics. Plenty of rails to grind, as well as a very brief wall ride in the middle of the course. I like this course. Following that up is Dandelion Depths. This is a beautiful course that has you go underground and find a gorgeous dandelion shrine. It's cool. Time to hit the movies with Boo Cinema. I love the vintage filter that takes over the screen when you jump into the big screen. It quickly became a fan favorite, and rightfully so. Finally, we end the Flower Cup with Crown City. I like that we get to trek through the various versions of the course in Versus mode. It's very reminiscent of how tour tracks worked in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is what I think a traditional Flower Cup would look like. Alright, let's kick off the Star Cup with Starview Peak. It is a little bit on the basic side, but it is cool seeing Rosalina's Comet Observatory as the main set piece of a course. There's a really cool water bit towards the latter half, and I think it's interesting that Rosie took some inspiration from Ice Ice Outpost with the green and yellow paths at the start. Yes, I'm one of those people who call her Rosie. Sue me. All in all, it's a good course. Oh, and it looks absolutely beautiful at night. Next up is Acorn Heights. I like to think of this level as Maple Treeway combined with Wild Woods. I know it's kind of basic, but look, almost every new course in Mario Kart World is basic, so I tried my best here. But yeah, this is a nice course that allows you to admire nature. From the trees to the canals, our next stop is Salty Salty Speedway. There's not much to say here. I think it fits pretty well as the penultimate course in the Star Cup. And for the finale, we go to DK Spaceport. This course is awesome. You race through the faithful recreation of the classic Donkey Kong game, with each section being the next step up until you eventually reach the top, dodge Robo DK's giant barrels, and cross the finish line. I love this course. By the way, can we please stop calling these sections laps? A lap is when you complete one full circuit around a looping course. DK Spaceport is not 6 laps, it's 6 sections. Okay, soapbox moment over. And that concludes the Star Cup. This one was a little harder to put together given the simplicity of these courses, but I'm quite proud of it nonetheless. Anyway, on to the final Nitro Grand Prix, the Special Cup. When I got to the 4 courses remaining, it dawned on me. This Special Cup that I came up with almost exactly matches the Special Cup in Mario Kart 8. Great Question Block Ruins is pretty much the Cloud Top Cruise of Mario Kart World. Dry Bones Burnout is Bone Dry Dunes if it was good. And then of course, we end the Special Cup with Bowser's Castle and Rainbow Road. Bowser's Castle is pretty good in this game, but the real star of this cup is Rainbow Road. This game's Rainbow Road is, in a word, amazing. If you haven't already played this course for yourself, or you can't because you want to save your money, which I don't blame you, definitely give it a look if you don't give a shit about spoilers. So, that wraps up the new courses readjusted to better suit the traditional 3-lap Grand Prix. Now let's shift gears and take a trip down memory lane with the Retro Grand Prix, starting off with the Shell Cup. We're gonna get Desert Hills out of the way because a vast majority of players aren't too sold on its inclusion, and I don't blame them. It is cool to see these guys from Super Mario Land though. That means that this track is set in Daisy's Kingdom, Sarasa Land, which is neat. Anyway, next course. Retro course number 2 is Sky High Sundae. This version of the course is what it was meant to be. Not the clashing solid colors, not the anti-gravity railings that have no collision. Amazing details, multiple meaningful paths, dozens of NPCs cheering you on to give the course some life. I used to not like how half-baked the BCP version was, but now it's fucking awesome. We go from the desert to desserts and back to the desert for Shy Guy Bazaar. I don't have too much to say here. The additional paths that stem from the grind rails are always nice. And like Desert Hills, this course takes place in Sarasa Land, right in front of Daisy's Palace actually. There's a reason for that, and I'll talk about it later. So let's put a pin in Shy Guy Bazaar for now and get a job. Hey look, it's Toad's Factory. Just like how it's the last course in Mario Kart Wii's Mushroom Cup, I put it in the final slot of the Shell Cup here. Now, I'm about to say something a little controversial, but I don't like this course as much as everybody else. People gas this one up, and I don't understand why. It's a basic factory course that just so happens to be owned by Toad. Maybe I'm just not getting it? I don't really know. So, that makes the Shell Cup. I will say, I think Toad's Factory would have made for a better finale than Peach Rectangle. Now for... We start with a 5-lap race around Koopa Troopa Beach. I don't know why they called it that. This is not the N64 course, it's Koopa Beach 2 from Super Mario Kart. And now it has this awesome EDM remix. It kind of gives you spring break vibes, especially at night. Now let's cool off by hitting the slopes at DK Pass from Mario Kart DS. There's not much to say here, it's DK Pass, but with a glow up. It looks cool.
Pun entirely intended.
But now I think we need to turn up the heat again, so next up is Peach Beach. This course was given the BCP treatment with how it's structured. The first lap is the normal double dash course we all know, but then lap 2 takes us to a new part of the course. I really like what Nintendo did here. And last but not least, in the Banana Cup, we have Wario's Shipyard. Admittedly, this is a bit of an odd inclusion with how this game handles driving underwater. You drive on water instead as your car transforms into a jet ski. It's kinda weird seeing a course that primarily took place underwater take place on water. Still a good course though. And that's the Banana Cup. On to the penultimate cup. We'll start this cup with Moo Moo Meadows. Back again, huh? Talk about milking the cow. Yeah, I mean, it's Moo Moo Meadows. I don't have anything else to say. Actually, is it me, or is this version larger in scale compared to 8 Deluxe? It certainly feels that way. Anyway, next up is Wario Stadium. Finally, after so long, it has returned, officially making Mario Kart 64 the only game in the series to have every course remade. No, the SNES courses in Super Circuit don't count. And man, they really simplified this course, though I know the reason why. Still, this is a fun course to really test your rail grinding skills, as you can determine which path you'll take. On to the third course in the cup, Dino Dino Jungle. I like this course's inclusion in this game. It was given the Jurassic Park treatment, which definitely suits this world's style. I also like how on the final lap, some dinos will actually escape the facility. Now, here is where we will have our first exception to the rule. I decided to include DK Pass again, but this time in reverse. The only way you could do this is if you approach this course from Salty Salty Speedway. I think it's kinda cool getting to race this course in reverse again, so I included it here. I originally had Desert Hills reverse here, but nobody likes Desert Hills, so I immediately swapped it out. That's the Leaf Cup done. 4 courses remain. Let's lock in. Choco Mountain starts the Lightning Cup. Now, I'll admit that I was skeptical at first, but the industrial transformation has grown on me. The Charge and Chucks are a nice touch too. It still maintains the chocolate theme, which is good. Although, it is weird seeing this course back again after it was just in the 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. I guess you could say the same thing about Sky High Sunday now that I think about it. Anyway, next stop, Airship Fortress. There isn't much to say here other than peak. That's it. 10 out of 10, no notes. Now, there is an exclusive variant of Shy Guy Bazaar in Versus mode, only accessible by driving in from either Airship Fortress or Wario Stadium. I used Wario Stadium so we don't break the rules here. Doing this takes you to a completely different course within Daisy's Palace, which is fucking cool. It is an absolute crime that we cannot do a traditional 3-lap race here. Hopefully Nintendo gives us that option in the future. This brings us to our final course, and I figured the best way to end this whole thing is with the course, or courses, that started it all. Mario Circuit from Super Mario Kart. 1 lap around each circuit, except for 4, sadly. The final checkered flag flies upon completing Mario Circuit 3, looking how it should have in the Booster Course Pass. This rounds out the Lightning Cup, and with that, we have reached the end. Let me know what you guys think of my choices. As far as the game goes, I like it. It's so nice to finally have a new Mario Kart. I will say, the costume selection is a bit weird. Like, how does Mario have like 9 costumes, but DK and Pauline only have 1? Maybe they'll get more with the release of Bonanza. That's what a lot of people are predicting, and I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up happening. Also, how come the enemies don't get costumes? Come on, Nintendo, give my boy Drybone some love. Give him a Dia de los Muertos costume to match the theme of his course. Also, remember the concept art of Rosalina in Odyssey wearing a black shirt? Where is that costume? Give me Emosalina, you cowards! Anyway, thanks for watching, subscribe for more content like this, and consider checking out my main channel, Junior Nitro. Link is in the description. Alright, see you around.
Properly utilized, however, the crystals can absorb and contain the energy.
Kenneth, you're a slug, and Sharon, get in the bin.